is Alan Lin, and today I'm going to be talking to you about why it's important to reform healthcare in the United States. Well, when I came up here, I walked past a bunch of college students who were playing, ultimate frisbee, football, and I thought to myself, there's no better time to be in college than when you're in your prime, your early 20s. And then I also thought to myself, why would a bunch of 20-year-olds care about healthcare reform? They don't even think they need it. They think it's for, old people, sick people. And my analogy basically goes that there's always this club in college where you're interested in it, but you don't really join it. And before you know it, you graduate and you find out it's not socially acceptable to shoot Nerf guns at people later in life. And healthcare, it's very similar. People are interested in healthcare in the beginning, but sadly, if they don't understand healthcare now, later it's going to be very daunting because the U.S. healthcare system is broken. So what exactly is the U.S. healthcare system right now? It's basically run through capitalism by many for-profit private health insurance companies with very little government regulation. Now, my analogy for that is basically the club that always asks you to pay your dues to fund their activities, but we all know what their actual activities are. And on this next chart, you'll see why I use that analogy. Here you'll see two different forms of healthcare, Medicare and private health insurance. Medicare is run by the government, and 97.9% of the money that you put into Medicare will go to paying for medical treatments. For private health insurance, though, the situation is very different. 81% of the money that you put in will go towards medical treatment. However, 19%, almost a fifth, will go towards CEO bonuses, advertising expenses, and company profits. This is exactly where we don't want the money to go. In fact, it's not uncommon for health insurance companies to look for pre-existing conditions specifically so they don't have to pay for medical coverages so they can raise their profits. This is absolutely ridiculous. This is one of the contributing factors to the reason why we have 16.3% of all Americans who are without health insurance. That's over 50 million Americans. So basically, if they were to get sick, they would have to pay for all their medical bills out of pocket. This is the exact same system that runs in third world countries and shouldn't exist in the United States. So why doesn't the free market deal with this? Why isn't the bad business practices fixed? Well, it's basically because, according to a recent American Medical Association study, over 70% of the markets in the United States don't have any competition, so there's really no incentive to change the bad business practices. And these bad business practices have resulted in skyrocketing costs for our medical system. The United States pays thousands of dollars more than its other first world country peers. And you would think if we pay this much for health insurance, we would get the best quality care, right? Unfortunately, this isn't the case. According to the World Health Organization, the United States only ranks 37 out of 191 countries. This is behind countries like France and Germany. So what exactly do France and Germany have that the United States doesn't? Do they have better doctors than us? I don't think so. I think the reason why their healthcare system is so much better than ours can be summed up in one picture. And that's the European health insurance card. Now, this is kind of like your student ID, except that it doesn't pay for, snacks and candy. It pays for medical treatment. So say you were to go to Europe and you got sick. If you were to go to one of their hospitals, you would show them this insurance card, and they would basically give you the care that they would give their own citizens at the same rate. And this basically means that there's a good chance you wouldn't even have to pay anything for the medical treatment, or you would pay at an extremely reduced cost. And how do European governments keep this cost so low for everybody in their country? Well, it's basically because the government gets involved with their healthcare system. They make sure that the health insurance companies are non-profit. They don't base their payments based off of pre-existing medical conditions. And most importantly, the medical companies have to compete with each other to get customers. That's the big misconception. Many Republicans would have you believe that the second government steps in, the system becomes a socialist system. This simply isn't true. The reason why the European systems are so successful is because they run on capitalism, but they have just the right amount of government regulation. President Obama recently signed the Affordable Care Act to try to bring over some of the perks that we see in Europe over to the United States. And he's working to try to make life after college a little bit more like college. But on a more serious note, I want to say that we as college students should really care about the path of health insurance, not only because we're going to have to go through it in a couple of years, but also because we can help the millions of people who don't have health insurance today. And so, for that, I implore you to use your voice, to vote, to use your actions to show support for the Affordable Care Act, so we can make each person's life a little bit better each day.